that there's been this mandate to always go negative on FF14 from Limit Break Radio, and that's just simply not true. Let's go back to our phone lines and talk to Torquil Ratherdashing of Balmung. What's going on, Torquil?
Hey, crew.
Thanks for calling in.
I want to talk about the reward structure in Eureka.
Okay.
I think it's got it's got good examples and it's got bad examples. I think the gearing structure has got all the same bad hallmarks that everything in this game does, right? The gear's not interesting. We know it's going to get replaced quickly and all that crap.
Turn in a token, buy item, rinse and repeat.
They even give us new glamours with it, which I think is pretty inexcusable.
Well, although
we get new glamours from the lock boxes, to be fair. You can see me. I'm a cowgirl. Look at those chaps.
We barely have two full sets of new glamour.
Not to mention, when you look over the past couple months, all the time that Eureka has been in development and delayed in development, look at all the different things that they've been adding to the cash shop that were new. All that Far Eastern stuff put there just for the sake of the cash shop. You cannot tell me that they couldn't have taken the original base armor set for each one and slowly throughout each stage just added a few more trimmings or spikes or jewels or whatever, so it actually looked like there was a little bit of progression.
No, I definitely can agree with that. I can definitely agree with that. There are some problematic aspects of the rewards, where exactly the rewards fit into the existing rewards that we get in terms of armor upgrades. There's definitely I understand concerns there. However, I think what people are forgetting, though, is that this is gear that's meant to be upgraded over time. And as people have pointed out very correctly, that the first tier of a relic weapon is not going to be as good. It's
very exciting.
It's generally one step behind, and it's very grindy, but not very hard, right? And the steps change over time as in terms of what they want from you, right? Like for a while, the first set of relic weapons, it was what was the first set of challenges? Chimera and
all the hard mode mob primals.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And then
Hydra.
Yeah, Hydra was the other
Hydra.
One. Yeah. And so, like those fights were unique to that
Those were
progression.
holdovers from 1.0.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, they were.
But to be fair, they were still only part of the relic in 1.0 as well.
Right.
Like they were specifically for
we can't count that as part of a relic quest, because yes, it was part of it, but they have clearly shown that they do not ever want to return to that.
Right.
Which is kind of dumb, because I mean, who doesn't remember how hard Chimera was when it first came out? Like it took me like 13 tries.
Right.
Or hard mode Titan.
Hard mode Titan. Yeah, that's right.
Hard mode Titan.
That was a gatekeeper for most people.
Yeah.
Well, something else to keep in mind too when you look at the disparity between the fully upgraded relic armor and as we've said, the tomestones of Mencia, when that's fully upgraded, is better than what the relic stuff is. But the difference here is that, as our first caller did, he's gotten 3 sets of armor in a single week. How long is it going to take you to get a single set of Mencia armor?
Like 10 weeks.
Considerably longer.
And you know what? Actually, that's a great point. Nikona had pointed out how much he was able to get in terms of rewards for poop socking, which is not something that you can do with tomes. You can't even really do that with raiding. Raiding takes a different entire...
because you can only go in once per week.
That's exactly. There is a lockout process there. This is you can grind this out if you want to, or you can take your time with it. I think that's actually a very positive thing and a good direction for Square Enix to move, because now you've got a choice. As a player, you've got a choice. Do you want to just do tome grinding? Do you want to grind other gear? Do you want to do a mixture of both?
Well, and Terabyte says, guess what? 3 off classes geared. Whereas if you wanted to gear them otherwise, you're going to have to wait until you've finished the 10 weeks of gearing your main, then choose who you want to gear next, or wait until, if you're in raiding, you've geared your main before you can start gearing your off classes.
And as Nikona had pointed out in his call, the XP grind gets easier as you hit 20. The grind for the crystals gets easier as you increase in levels.
You'll probably get a full set just on your way to 20.
Right.
Oh, Terabyte is Nikona. Thank you, Nikona.
There you go.
So I do think that can't be discounted, right? You can't gear out 3 fucking jobs in a weekend with tome grinding. You just simply can't. It does offer a different style of play. Some that, I get it. Some people don't like the style of play, but it does offer a different style of play and fairly comparable rewards.
Evil Hippie says, holy fuck, Yoshi ninja'd in lateral progression.
He did.
And also I'd like to point out too, in case nobody has mentioned so far, that when you complete an NM, you do get 10 plus Mencia tomes. So you can actually, like Nika, you said you capped out this week.
I think
right?
I got 440 out of 450 just from Eureka.
Close enough.
You're capped, Nika.
I never have to do a dungeon ever again.
I realized I was getting tomes.
And that's fair. Like, I think that, there are some players who are going to be kind of thrown off by how non-status quo this type of content is, and they'll immediately go back to grinding dungeons, and that's fine.
And I will say, though, I am hopeful for the RNG drops that drop just from the mob. Like, I got the Emperor's hairpin the other day and flipped my shit. So, like, I will say, like, some of that is promising. Yeah. And you're right. The word promising is there. There is hope yet, but skepticism.
Yeah, you got to have hope to crush it. I mean, if you want things to change.
So I think the other side of the coin was, I think there's a really good example of a good reward structure in Eureka, and that's how they handled the story stuff.
Okay.
That's the series' like strongest point, right?
Oh, really?
When I went into this, like most other content these days, I expected, I'll just do the story. It'll take me, 20% of the time, and I won't even worry about the gear.
Right.
Well, as I'm nearing level 12, I'm realizing, oh no, I'm gonna have to pretty much do everything to see the entire story. And part of the reason I even care to do that is because they chose a strong story hook. They didn't, unlike Deep Dungeon or other kind of, especially Diadem, they actually chose the Isle of Val, which is this incredibly important MSQ level story structure. And so a player like me who doesn't really give a shit about Savage or gear, like, to me, gear is just a disguised attunement quest. That's all it is. I need just enough to get into the instance. Not pan that, I don't care. But because they chose the Isle of Val, I was in. I think
that is
a good point.
That's a really good observation.
And people are saying when you get to level 17, the quests are then really good. So there's so much more.
Damn, dude, story going that's farther. Awesome. See, now that gives me something to look forward to, and I'm gonna. I think that Square Enix has really undervalued their story content and how much of a reward it actually is.
Definitely. You see, but wouldn't you feel so much better if, like, instead of having like part of the story of Eureka be like in 14 lore, wouldn't it be more rewarding for the player base if it was like some callback from like Final Fantasy VI where like you're on the Veldt and you're like fighting alongside Gao and all this other stuff? Wouldn't it be better for you?
No, right? It's not.
I'd like to use my mute juxta.
All right. Mute juxta muted. There we go.
Something actually I wanted to bring to you guys' attention because it's the second time that they've done this. But Kryle's little friend, did anyone else when they first saw them
totally a chick
assume that was a girl, right?
Oh, yeah, those bangs.
There's something about his eyes that looked male. Like,
I mean, look.
Eyes? Is that why, Nika?
Look, no. I mean, it's fine that it's actually a dude. And again, this is the second time that they've put like a really androgynous looking character with Geralt, who spends most of his time drunk. I feel like that. Anyway, point is,
Geralt's into ladyboys. That's what you're trying to say, right?
And I also think that we should dub this little Taru Escalia Jr.
Why?
Because of the androgyny?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the Escalia version of a potato.
I mean, I guess. Sure.
I hope they get a wyvern.
But to be fair, most potatoes are kind of androgynous.
So Escalia is gonna get his little dragon minion, but it's just a Lalafell dressed up in dragon cosplay.
I like that. I like that a lot. Torquil, thanks for the call. Appreciate hearing from you. If you want to give Limit Break Radio a call, Limit Break Radio on Skype, 810-515-8715, limitbreakradio.com/Discord. Again, I love the point that Torquil just brought up, that the story and the quests can be as much of a reward as anything else. And I do think that Square Enix should take this moment to realize how much of a value and how much of a motivating factor that can be. I mean, it works. Oh, you're still muted.
Oh, thank you.